Hey friends, are you foraging yet? If not, tell me why in the comments. Foraging opens up this gigantic world of flavors and experiences that we just wouldn't have if we're only getting our food from the grocery. Now, there are the standard edible wild plants that, well, almost everybody knows. I'm thinking things like nettle, which, come to think of it, is a little bit of an unlikely plant to think, hey, I'm going to go eat that. Huh. But at the same time, there's some edible plants out here that are, well, more obscure. No, I'm not going to be showing you some plant that everybody's overlooked that is the most amazing wild edible that you'll ever find. I'm going to show you some that you might have growing in your yard or very near you that you never would have thought were wild edibles, and yet they are. Two of these I have tried, I eat semi-regularly. One I haven't tried. So you may be the first one in the comments to try it and let us know what it's really like. Our adventure begins with porcelain berry. Now this plant, when I first saw it, it was growing right up against our house here at Goldenwood. I saw this and I thought, what is this? This plant is called porcelain berry, and its berries are amazingly beautiful. Most people see these berries and just assume this is not going to be an edible plant because the berries they're just so showy. I don't know. They're amazing. They come in these different colors, as you can see. They have these little spots on them, and the hues are enchanting. Better yet, these berries are edible. Now, I'm going to put some quotation marks around edible in this case. I eat these berries regularly. I just grab a few off as I'm going by. They're, I would say, kind of juicy and don't have they have a flavor, but it's not a strong flavor. It's not a bad flavor. It's not a good flavor, at least to me. So they're not something that I would go out and say, oh, I'm going to pick a pint of these and just devour them the way I would blackberries, raspberries. But here's the thing. Sometimes we add something to our food, not for its flavor, but for its beauty. So in this case, these porcelain berries can be sprinkled onto another dish, and they add this incredible beauty. You still can eat it, it's fine to eat, and ridiculously pretty. The second one is lurking on the ground below your feet. Now when I say the word plantain, you say, oh, okay, that's kind of the first plant that any forager learns, even though it's not a particularly amazing wild edible, at least in my opinion. I remember this being kind of, for me, the first one I learned. But plantain is not to be dismissed. And the thing is, some of you might have plantain growing, even though you don't think you have plantain growing. And that's because there is a relative, another plantain, that grows here that has been imported, and it looks quite different. But otherwise, to me, its flavor is the same, its uses are basically the same as the regular plantain that most of us know. You can see these long, narrow leaves. That's why it's called narrow leaf plantain or English plantain. And in some yards, it is growing all over the place, but people just don't know what it is because it doesn't look like plantain. Even the seed heads are different. Now this last one, wow, I remember the first time I ever saw this plant, I was pretty enchanted. It's striking. This is one of those plants that has a really odd common name. It's known as horse gentian. Now, if you're familiar with gentians, some really unique flowers that often are kind of closed rather than an open flower, as we're used to. This is not actually even related to a gentian. It is related to honeysuckles. It is a honeysuckle. And it grows these amazing orange berries right up against the stem. We have two varieties here in Wisconsin, but we treat them the same as far as edibility. That being said, this is one of those that I have not tried yet. I've read about it. Everybody says, well, the alternate name for this is coffee berry, because the berries supposedly can be dried, and I'm going to guess maybe it's in the seeds, roasted up a little, and made into a coffee substitute. Now, we've all heard this with dandelion root, for instance, which makes an incredible roasted tea, but I wouldn't necessarily say that it is a coffee substitute. It's kind of its own thing. I'm guessing this is going to be the same thing, but I have not actually read a personal account of someone trying this. So if you're a forager, that's my challenge to you this autumn, is to try figuring out why this is called coffee berry. And then come back and write in these comments and tell me what your experience was like, how you prepared it. Was it delicious? I'm going to do some experimenting myself, but don't make me the only one writing down there in the comments about what this is like. Okay, friends, share in the comments what your obscure wild edible is. What's something that you know about that other people might have growing around them, but they wouldn't think of it having an edible part. Thanks so much for watching. Talk with you in the comments.